again, finished the physical work today. We took pads off just, I think the guys, first of all, being, game 8, and this is a tough physical stretch. It's important that we pay attention to their recovery. And, for us to get the result we want Saturday, we got to make sure we're mentally ready, but also physically ready. And I think part of that is, again, giving them some back half of the season recovery time. So I thought they handled that well. I think the week's been good. I know they're going to be emotionally ready to play. And ultimately, the game will come down to us being opportunistic with opportunities to make plays in all 3 phases. And really needing our best, most coordinated effort to put pressure on a good opponent. And again, I think both teams will be emotionally engaged in the game. We're gonna need a great focused effort and execution to have a chance. So with that, I'm happy to open for questions.
There were a lot of guys on the availability report yesterday. Any you're particularly concerned about?
No, I think we've pretty much gotten guys back into practice. Colby Taylor's a late addition. He's got a back that's flaring up on him, so we'll see how that responds over the next couple of days. But on the whole, I think we're in pretty good shape that way, and the guys that have needed to get practice time have been able to do that. So I'm feeling good about it.
They've got one of the better tight ends in the country, and obviously the tight ends have given you guys some issues at times. How do you guys improve there against a really good player?
Well, you got to pick and choose, right? Because it's a little bit easier when maybe that's the guy that's featured or that's the guy that they run the offense through. But there's 3 other guys on the field with them that are also very capable, and you can't spread yourself thin and allow for the ball to go up to one of their fast receivers while you're trying to take the tight end away. So obviously we're aware of them, and I think when you play man, you got to understand where your help is and understand what your leverage is. And when your leverage in zones, obviously we need to have great depth in our drops and vision and break off the quarterback's shoulder. But it's really more about us executing what we do, and nothing that is specifically designed to eliminate him as a threat. Because the minute you start to design around him, you're going to leave one-on-ones with some really explosive players that I think can put you at a disadvantage really quickly.
Obviously, you guys have stepped up in his absence, but what does having Langston back do for you, particularly against a good tight end room?
Langston's a captain and a leader, and he sets a tone for us in his prep, and obviously the guys respond really well to him and his competitive spirit. So there's a huge, I think, piece having him back involved, and hopefully we get as many snaps as we need out of him. I think we always got to pay attention to how that ankle responds, and there's going to be some need to. I think to get him additional rest, maybe where we would have leaned on him through the course of the entire game, but to get him in and out a little bit early to just see how it's responding. But it's great to have him back, and I think against a physical line and good tight ends and explosive run game, having him as a part of our run wall is really important.
But you guys have got the ball first against Alabama and marched down the field, set the tone for the game. And obviously defensively got the interception from Fontenette, but is that a focus every week? Is that a focus this week? Is getting the ball first and starting fast, obviously, as you mentioned?
Well, we always defer. We've not had a lot of success at the coin toss, so we haven't started fast that way. But you defer to get the extra possession, and you try to double up on that at the end of the half, which actually we did really well against Ball State. We just weren't able to capitalize on it. If you're getting the ball first, then yes, the focus is trying to get points. I think that's a huge, and this we talked about, I believe it was a Kentucky game, but like that idea of breaking serve, but you go down and you score. That's a statement, and that's a great starting point for a game that can follow that as a tone setter. For us. In this game, starting fast is important because you want to at some level try to get a lead where, you're forcing them to have to throw the ball and to deviate from the run game. I think they're going to be patient in the run game, but the things that we're focusing on as critical factors in the game that we feel like if we execute from a strategic standpoint, we put ourselves in an advantageous position to get the result, center around getting a fast start and trying to really turn the tables on a team that's, again, really talented. So yes, it's a focus. Yes, it's a point of emphasis. Yes, it's important. And hopefully we're going to be able to do that. If we're not, then, we gotta battle and adjust and adapt as the game requires us to.
With how important it is for the way that you guys play to have a lead, would you consider taking the ball first if you wanted the toss?
We've talked about it, and we've looked at kind of what the analytics say around just predicting success. And I think a lot of times it's what you do with the first possession that on either side, whether you generate a stop or whether you score a touchdown, that ultimately has an impact on the outcome of the game. I still think the potential of gaining that possession in the second half after you've had a chance to see, what the plan is, the opponent's strategy, and also the potential of creating two possessions at, with a drive at the end of the first half. To me, that's the optimal strategic approach, and so that's what we do. But certainly, we're not afraid to take the ball, and that literally comes down to a coin toss. So we got to be ready, and we've done a nice job when we've had those opportunities. Our offense has responded well.
How important of a recruiting weekend is this for you guys, and how much does it maybe help to kind of strategically be able to deploy game day visits as more of a tool than in past years in terms of the excitement and all that stuff?
Well, I think the momentum the program's building is huge for recruiting. I think this weekend is going to be reflective of that momentum, and certainly I think you spend a long time kind of painting this vision, and there's still a world where you're talking about the vision for a sold-out stadium that's all black and gold. That's still going to be a part of this as we move forward, and I think part of it too is going to be have a fully constructed stadium as well, right? That's a part of the vision, also. But the momentum's been really helpful, and I think it's just all the things that we've talked about in recruiting. It's kind of backed it up and validated the statements, and if without some semblance of results and proving it, I think words can become hollow really quickly. People that pay attention to who we are and what we do, I think, have always seen the beginnings and the foundation of something that's special. And I do think our approach in recruiting and our approach just to our program is unique. And those that have taken the time as recruits to get to know us that way, I think they've been drawn to Vanderbilt. But I don't blame people for also needing to see that, hey, this is what the path to success looks like. And I think you're starting to talk to the recruits about not the building the foundation of the program, but building upon. And that to me is a totally different narrative that I think is gonna deepen the pool of players that we get to select from. And that includes transfers too. I mean, it's all the same, right? Competitors want to know that there's an opportunity to find the results. Our unique approach, I think, gives them a holistic development picture that is appealing. The sense of community we build here internally, I think, is appealing. The way we treat each other and respect each other is appealing. The fact that we're getting results through that process is going to draw people in, and this weekend's a great opportunity to put that on display.
How important is it for you to capitalize on what you've done on the field on the recruiting trail?
Well, it's important. I think in some ways, everyone's paying attention, so you get the benefit without having to try really hard. Recruiting's a lot harder when you don't have that momentum, and you are selling a vision. Like right now, we're living the vision. So, that doesn't mean we're entitled to something on Saturday in terms of result, and it doesn't mean that the final stretch of the season isn't going to be really hard for us. And we have to go earn the right to continue to play. But people can see the fruits of the labor and the investment we put into this point. They can see it. So that's exciting. They're excited. Again, I think for so many, they've looked at us and said, we really like this program. We really like these people. I can see myself there. I can see my son there. You know, it's Nashville. It's a top 15 school. It's the SEC. It's all those things, right? But we need to be able to show that we can drive results. And you know, we've been able to do that to this point this season. It's a lot of excitement, and it's certainly helpful.
Coach, it's a little random, but you've seen some short angled kickoffs that has affected some return teams that have started opponent's field position inside their own 10 at times, 15. Yeah. What goes into that decision on the call? Obviously, Coach Zapak's the coordinator there, but what goes into that, and is that a look every time, or what? I'm just interested in that.
Well, some of those are called, and some of those are just the way the foot hits the ball. It's like, I don't play a lot of golf, but sometimes I hit it the right way and sometimes I hit it the wrong way, you know. So I think if you cover the right way, when you get it into the corners or into dead space, obviously it gives you a great opportunity to down the ball inside the 20. I believe it was the Missouri game, we actually kicked it into some space and created a backed up sequence there. So we do have the ability to do that. Yeah, sometimes it's just a matter of how it comes off the foot, and you got to cover it the same way every time. I think Brock's really stepped up with respect to, you know, I thought his touchbacks in the Ball State game were huge. So it's exciting to see that part of his game developing also. But sometimes part of the strategy, sometimes it's just chance. If we cover it the right way, those chance circumstances become opportunities for us to pin the opponent.
You guys are at the top of the league in third down conversion rate and converting red zone trips to touchdowns. What about the offense's timeliness has stood out to you?
It comes back to staying on schedule and getting into third down and manageables. Obviously, we have a quarterback that can create also, and anytime, I think that's the part of his game that, you know, I really admire is, you know, he's gonna go through his progression and he's gonna find the space throwing the ball, but if it breaks down, he's got a unique ability to extend, and he has extended to find a receiver and he's extended to run. It's really challenging to defend that. So staying on schedule is important. That's the same in the red zone. You know, when you talk about red zone offense, you got to be surgical in your execution. You've got to stay positive in terms of no negative plays. Penalties obviously are crushing. So as we've cleaned up our game that way, I think we've strengthened our performance. You know, last week we weren't as good in the red zone offensively. Some of that's like we had design wins and we just missed, you know, and so like being opportunistic when we have the guys designed open. And then, you know, obviously the penalty we took on the goal line and stuff, but that's the formula. So it's all part of the DNA. And when you talk about, hey, what does a game control offense look like? So you talk about the broader strategy of the program. A game control offense is an offense that maintains possession of the ball, which means we have to be able to convert on third down, and you have to stay on schedule to get in those third down wins. And it's a team that converts touchdowns in the red zone. You know, so you're going to be methodical in your possession, and you're going to finish with 7, and that's what actually allows that strategy to work. So credit to Tim and his staff and to the offense for putting a design in place and executing at a level that has put us in good positions. And when we do those things, it unlocks performance in the defense too. And that's how we strengthen the team, through one phase.